Right now, China holds more AI patents than the US and Europe combined. And while you were scrolling, they just filed 50 more. This isn't just about technology anymore. This is about who controls the future of everything, from your job security to national defense. And the gap? It's widening every single month. In today's episode, I'm breaking down the 5 reasons China is dominating this race and why Silicon Valley's response is dangerously slow. One researcher in Beijing said it perfectly back in 2018. We don't need to innovate, we just need to implement faster. And that strategy, it's working. Most people in the West have zero idea this is even happening. By the end of this episode, you will. Let's start with the money gap. When we talk about AI investment in America, we're talking about private companies. In 2024, US AI startups raised $109 billion in venture capital with OpenAI, Anthropic, xAI, and hundreds of others competing for VC dollars. That's 12 times more than China's $9 billion in private AI investment. But here's the fundamental difference in this China versus USA competition. In China, the government isn't just investing, they're orchestrating. China's government AI spending alone hit $56 billion this year. That's 400 billion yuan of direct state investment. Add in mandated contributions from state-owned enterprises and tech giants, and China's total AI capital expenditure for 2025 reaches between $84 and $98 billion. That's a 48% increase from 2024 in 1 year. Here's what people miss. The US leads in private investment. That's about $470 billion cumulatively since 2013 versus China's much smaller private sector. But China's government spending is strategic, focused, and it's accelerating. We're watching 2 completely different models compete. But money alone doesn't win the AI race. You need something else. Something China has in abundance that makes Silicon Valley executives deeply uncomfortable. And it's about data, and specifically data without privacy law complications. Look, I'm not debating whether China's data privacy approach is ethical. That's a totally different conversation. But from pure AI development perspective in this AI race, they have a structural advantage that's almost impossible to overstate. AI models learn from data. More data equals better models. And China has 1.4 billion people generating data daily through deeply integrated apps. Look at WeChat, for example. It isn't just messaging, it's payments, government services, social media, shopping, all in one. Alipay processes more transactions than Visa and MasterCard combined. And every interaction of these platforms feeds AI model improvement. And what about data privacy regulations? We have GDPR in Europe, CCPA in California, privacy protections that rightfully slow data collection and model training. But for Chinese companies, they don't have that friction. And here's what most people miss about the China versus USA data gap. China's government mandates data sharing between companies for national AI projects. Imagine if the US forced Google, Meta, and Amazon to pool data for a national AI model. That's essentially happening in China. And what's the result? Chinese AI models train on datasets larger, more diverse, and more integrated than anything available in the West. Now you might be thinking, America has the best AI talent in the world, right? Well, let's get into that nugget. Here's a stat that should worry every tech executive. China graduates 4 times as many STEM students as the United States every year. 4 times. And there's no quality gap anymore. Tsinghua University and Peking University rank among top computer science programs globally, and Chinese researchers publish more AI papers than American researchers, and increasingly those papers get cited more often. But here's where the AI race gets interesting. For decades, America benefited from brain drain. The best Chinese AI researchers came to Stanford, MIT, Carnegie Mellon, and stayed. That's not happening anymore. 2025 data shows the reversal is accelerating. At least 85 top AI scientists who were based in US institutions have fully relocated to Chinese institutions this year alone. The number of Chinese scientists leaving the US jumped from 900 in 2010 to 2,600 in 2021, and 67% of them returned to China. And why do we think this is happening? 3 reasons. First, funding. China now has approximately 30,000 active AI researchers spread across 150 institutions, all backed by coordinated government investment. Top researchers at Huawei, Baidu, Alibaba, and SenseTime can command salaries well exceeding $280,000, which is competitive with US tech hubs, but with significantly lower cost of living in China. Second, less bureaucracy. In the US, visa restrictions tightened after 2018. Funding became politicized. Chinese researchers faced scrutiny. Meanwhile, China introduced the K visa specifically to attract global AI talent, making it streamlined, fast-tracked, and no questions about loyalty. Third, and this is crucial, the ability to deploy AI systems at scale without regulatory hurdles. Here's what most people miss about this talent shift. If you're an AI researcher wanting to see your work implemented in the real world, affecting millions within months, China is increasingly the place to be. In America, you spend years navigating FDA approval, privacy reviews, ethical committees, etc. In China, if the government backs your project through their AI Plus initiative, it deploys nationwide in weeks. Your facial recognition algorithm goes from lab to 100 cities. Your language model integrates into government services, reaching 1.4 billion people. Your research doesn't just publish, it scales. So in this competition, China have money, data, and increasingly the talent. But there's a fourth factor that might be most important. Remember that opening quote, "We don't need to innovate, we just need to implement faster"? This is where China's system shows its true advantage in the AI race. Concrete example, facial recognition with AI. This was technology largely developed in the West, but it's deployed at larger scale in China by a factor of 10. Chinese cities implemented AI-powered surveillance, smart traffic management, automated law enforcement in the time American cities held public hearings about whether to pilot these technologies. Now, you can argue whether that's good or bad, but from pure AI development perspective, rapid deployment creates a feedback loop. Deploy system, collect real-world data, identify failures, update model, and redeploy. Fast iteration leads to better AI. American companies get stuck in what I call pilot purgatory. Small-scale tests, reports, approvals. By the time they're ready to scale, technology has moved on. And here's what a lot of people miss about the implementation speed. China's approach isn't just faster, it's fundamentally different. Deploy first, iterate fast, deal with problems as they arise. It's messy, it's controversial, but incredibly effective for advancing AI capabilities. And this does extend beyond government projects. Chinese AI startups go from prototype to millions of users in months because the regulatory environment enables speed, not caution. But there's one more factor in this AI race, and it's the one that concerns me most, and that's the ethics gap. So this might be a bit uncomfortable for some people, but China develops AI without the ethical constraints slowing Western development. That's both their biggest advantage and potentially humanity's greatest risk. In the US and Europe, we have intense debates about AI bias, fairness, transparency, and alignment. And yeah, they're important conversations, but they inevitably slow development. Chinese AI operates under different principles. Priority is national advancement and social stability, not individual rights or algorithmic fairness in the Western sense. This means Chinese researchers pursue AI applications that would be immediately shut down in the West. Brain-computer interfaces with minimal oversight, genetic algorithms applied to human populations, AI-powered social control systems are just some examples. And look, I'm not saying this is good, but it is a competitive advantage in the AI race. If one country experiments without ethical guardrails, they'll likely reach certain capabilities first. And what about the strategic concern? If China achieves AGI first, artificial general intelligence, the values embedded in that system reflect Chinese priorities, not Western democratic principles. The first AGI shapes how humanity interacts with AI for generations. That's not hyperbole. Those are the stakes that we're dealing with. So where does this leave us in the China versus USA AI race? Well, China has more money, more data, growing talent advantage, faster implementation, and fewer ethical constraints. And we've covered the 5 structural advantages that compound over time that give China the advantage. But the question isn't whether China is winning. The data makes that absolutely clear. The question really is, what does the West do about it? This is what we explore on Quantum Logic, truths about AI, and how this impacts you and your business. If you want more analysis like this, please subscribe and turn on notifications. As always, stay curious and stay human. Bye for now.